Hi, my name is Jeremy Brunansky, and you're about to watch a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is a weekly show that drops every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. In this show, we cover movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. If this is your first time with us, consider clicking that subscribe button. For everybody who's returning, thank you so much. And as always, if you enjoy any portion of this show, give me that thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's episode. Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. PST, and that means it's time for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This week we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. We have two news stories that I think you guys are going to enjoy, plus some honorable mentions. And the news segment was actually cut short because we have 3 movie reviews this week. That's right, I was able to get out to the theater to see 3 different films this week, and we'll be dropping those reviews this morning on the show. So stay tuned for the spoiler-filled reviews of The Post, Den of Thieves, and Phantom Thread. And then immediately after that, don't go anywhere because we have what's arriving in theaters, what's dropping on DVD and Blu-ray, and my personal favorite segment, Certified Rad. If you're brand new to the show, thank you so much for joining us this week. Consider clicking that subscribe button if you like movie-related YouTube shows. Don't forget to click that bell so you get all the notifications as soon as new content drops on the channel. All right, let's get this show started. You're watching Brunansky's Vlog right here on YouTube. It's 10 a.m. PST, and now we're gonna cut to the news. In the news, Deadline reports Universal has acquired the rights to a holiday comedy movie starring Jessica Chastain and Octavia Spencer. So I'm pretty excited about this news, mostly because both Octavia Spencer and Jessica Chastain are incredible talents, and I can't wait to see what they do on screen together in a holiday comedy. Now, for more on the article, expand the description box below, and you'll find the link down there. But apparently the story, just to kind of sum it up, is they're trying to fight the elements to get home for Christmas. And to me, that sounds like a fantastic opportunity for comedy. If you're trying to deal with snow and everything else, and you just desperately want to get home to family, but you just have one thing after another causing chaos and causing comedy, I think that this could be a big holiday hit. Hopefully they release it actually during the holidays, because a lot of times, like what we just had this past year, Bad Moms Christmas, Daddy's Home 2, these Christmas movies that are getting released in November, like, can we release the Christmas movies like closer to Christmas time? Like, please, going forward, can we do that instead of Christmas movies before Thanksgiving? But otherwise, I'm definitely on board with this. Both of these girls are incredibly talented actors, and I gotta say, in Shape of Water, Octavia Spencer was possibly one of the biggest highlights in the film because of just the levity she brought, just being this natural, believable character in this film. And then you get the flip side when you get towards the end and you see all of the tension and drama at the very end. Like, she's so talented, and I cannot wait to see both of these girls going toe to toe in a holiday comedy, fighting the elements, trying to get home for Christmas. I think this sounds like a slam dunk. Comment below in the comment section with your thoughts. Variety reports that MoviePass announced it will be co-acquiring films with movie distributors. If you are a faithful watcher of this show, you know that this guy right here talking to you loves his MoviePass. In fact, all of the films that have been reviewed on this channel so far this year have been due to my subscription to MoviePass. For those of you who are unaware, MoviePass is a monthly subscription service for going to see movies at the movie theater. You pay a one-time flat fee, and then you can go see one movie a day using your membership at any participating movie theater. It's quite glorious. So what does it mean that they're going to be co-acquiring films with film distributors? Well, it sounds like from the article, and again, if you want to see this article, just like the last one, go ahead and expand the description box and you'll find the link for it down there, down below. But sounding from the article, it feels like they're going to be distributing films with film distributors as almost like a partner service. And if you're wondering, well, what does that mean? What does a film distributor do? What is the film distribution process? Let's go ahead and talk about it right now. So as you can see here on the screen, there's this lovely little graphic I found online. I put the link for this graphic in the description box below. So you can also go ahead and click on that and expand that, and it'll take you right to the website. And the website is actually detailing kind of how the process all works, but we're gonna just summarize it up for you right here in this new segment. So as you can see, it starts off with, the producers making the films. The films go to the distributors send it to the theaters, and then the customers come in and see these films, and then how all of the money trickles back to the producer. So what exactly does this image mean? So after a film is made, right? So after all of the actors have done their job and everything else, the film is completed and sent to the studio. The studio makes a licensing agreement with the distribution company. The distribution company determines how many copies of the film to make. And also the distribution company shows the movie to prospective buyers representing the theater chains. So then the buyers are going to negotiate with the distribution company on which movies they want to lease and the terms of the lease agreement. The movies are then sent to the theaters a few days before opening, and the theater shows those movies for a specific number of weeks, otherwise known as an engagement. And then, as you know, we go see the films, we spend our hard-earned dollars and our time in the movies watching these films, and then the money goes back to everybody involved in making the film. And from my understanding, there's two types of agreements the distribution companies can go into. Now, if there's more, go ahead and sound off in the comments below with the additional steps. But as far as I'm aware, there's two specific types. One is leasing and one is profit sharing. So for the leasing agreement, the distribution company says, look, I'm just going to pay a flat rate to go ahead and get the rights to actually put this film out in theaters. And then the theaters have to actually place bids and stuff like that. And it's more involved on how they're actually going to get the rights to show this film. And they deal directly with the distribution company there to try and help get this film out into the public so everybody can get their eyes on this film and spend their dollars on tickets and concessions. And profit sharing is exactly as it sounds. The distribution company makes a deal with the studio that says, look, we'll take, a percentage of whatever it nets from anywhere from about 10 to 50% according to this article in the show notes below. And then that's kind of what they do going forward with that. So now you might be wondering, why does MoviePass want to deal with a system like this? Why would they want to get into distribution, or why would they want to partner with distribution companies? So by MoviePass jumping into distribution or jumping into partnerships with distribution companies, they have an opportunity to recoup some of what's being spent by their company for us to go see the films. And that is absolutely brilliant business. So we pay the monthly fee, we go see a movie, MoviePass pays the theater, but then the theater has to turn around and pay the distribution company, which is partnered with MoviePass. So MoviePass is actually getting paid back for us going to see the movie that they just paid for us to see because of our monthly membership. This is genius. Also, this helps provide some sort of sustainability for the business model that MoviePass has. Because right now, if you're the type of person like I am, where you're seeing 1, 2, maybe 3 movies a week using MoviePass, MoviePass is not making any money on you. They're actually losing money on people like you and I. But that's the contract that they went into with us. However, with this distribution deal, with this partnership that they're looking to achieve, they can actually recoup some of the losses that they are incurring from people like us by getting the money back directly from the theaters for being able to show the films that we're using MoviePass to see. If this has not blown your mind yet, I don't know why. This is genius business. I love it. And I am so proud of MoviePass for coming up with this. So if you have not yet subscribed to MoviePass, I would recommend you absolutely consider doing so, especially if they're going to be getting this distribution deal, because that is a signal that MoviePass might be around a lot longer than maybe people were projecting. They have found a creative, beneficial, useful, intelligent way to kind of help sustain their business model. And I am super happy because I love using my MoviePass. And I don't want MoviePass to go away anytime soon. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some honorable mentions now before my head just explodes with business excitement. Honorable mentions this week: John Wick 3 is bringing back director Chad Stahelski. Toy Story 4 has tapped Stephanie Folsom to write the script. Danny Strong has been hired to script a remake of the classic musical Oliver. Ron Cephas has been cast as the Wizard in DC's new Shazam movie. Alright, and that pretty much wraps it up for the news this week. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching and discussing the news with us right here on Brunansky's vlog. If you enjoyed the news and you have any comments, feel free to just go ahead and leave your comments in the comments section below. Again, I do apologize because of the condensed nature of how distribution works. If some of you are in the movie business watching this and you're going, there is so much more involved that you didn't cover, you are absolutely right. This was just a condensed Reader's Digest version so everybody who may not know can understand. And again, for more information on it, go ahead and just expand that description box and you'll find the link below. All right, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and move now right into movie reviews. I was able to get out to the theater to see 3 films this week, which we'll be reviewing right now. Phantom Thread, Den of Thieves, and The Post. Right after that, we got a little bit more to cover as far as what's arriving in theaters, DVD and Blu-ray releases, and as always, Certified Rad. But let's go ahead and roll now to that movie review segment. The year is 1971. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution is being scrutinized by the courts because of classified documents being published by the New York Times. As the legal battle ensues, one smaller newspaper has an opportunity to show the American public that for decades, the United States government has been misleading the American public intentionally on Vietnam. So, does the Post deliver on a thought-provoking examination of responsibility and freedom of the press, or is this story a dud? Let's go ahead and take a look in this review. On its surface, from the trailers, we can gather that this film is supposed to be about a news story and whether or not to print it. This film also appears to be about freedom of the press. Interestingly enough, and to the credit of the writers of this film, those 2 bits actually feel more like subplots. The meat of the story seems to revolve around 2 characters in this film. The first it seems to revolve around is the maturation of Kay Graham, played by Meryl Streep. And she is actually the one in charge, the head honcho of the newspaper. Next, we look at the determination and grit of Ben Bradley, played by Tom Hanks. His mission in this film solely seems to revolve around trying to elevate the status of the Washington Post in the eyes of American readers as well as journalistic colleagues. From beginning to end, we're taken on an emotional journey with Kay and Ben as they learn to deal with each other, with their colleagues and business partners, as well as their longtime government friends. And I say this because I think it's worth mentioning that without this relationship, without watching these 2 characters evolve the way they do in the film, one could argue that the very story they're questioning about whether or not to publish may never have been published at all if we didn't get the character development that we get from both of them in this film. It's the journey that we go on with them that actually shows us the importance and the value of why this story needs to be told. I personally think we get a very accurate idea about the stress involved in the decision-making process on whether or not to print in the newspaper classified documents that the courts and the federal governments have already banned. We also get a very real sense of the stress involved if they can't get this story to print before their competitor, the New York Times. Also, we get a real true sense of the self-imposed pressure of trying to keep this family business alive when it has been less than profitable. And because of the incredible performances in this film, we understand the importance of working against an administration without sacrificing the liberties and freedoms this country was founded on. Steven Spielberg did an excellent job, as we would expect, to deliver a story based in the 1970s that literally looks like it was filmed in the 1970s. It doesn't just look or feel like a story from decades ago. It truly feels like this was just plucked right out of that time, and now it's given to us in 2018 on the big screen. There are plenty of scenes in this movie that have a wide open view of a room, an office, an outdoor space, whatever the case may be, to show you the full area that these people are living and working in. However, as I just stated though, there are these angles and these close-up shots that really pull the eyes forward on what the main focal point is going to be for that scene to really help drive the tension forward for this story. And then other times in this film, we'll get curiously placed camera angles to kind of see from an awkward vantage point what's going on in the scene, and that might not necessarily be the viewpoint of the person listening or the person speaking. In short, the cinematography in this film looks great, and more importantly, it captures all of the dynamic performances from all of the actors in this film. The Post is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing for this film. The acting, the cinematography, the story, the intensity, all combined truly make this film worth your hard-earned dollars and your time. Now, before we end this review, I do want to just say the trailers will lead you to believe that this is a dramatic piece, and that is very true. However, there are plenty of comedic moments throughout this film to really bring some levity to a very intense and dramatic story. Spoiler alert, Tom Hanks has quite a few excellent zingers in this story that actually did get me to laugh out loud in the theaters. And because of that, The Post is getting both high fives from this guy. The Post is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. An elite group of bank robbers is matched against a special division in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. After suffering a few casualties after their last encounter, the cops have decided to move forward aggressively with the apprehension of these criminals who seem to be one step ahead of them time and time again. The bank robbers are actually planning one last big heist that, if successful, had the potential to go unnoticed. Does Den of Thieves deliver on a heist film with plenty of action, or is this film a 187, dead on arrival? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. The overall story doesn't really expect much from us as viewers, which is what I expected when I walked into the theater. It appeared to be a fun heist meets action flick that would have lots of explosions, clever planning, car chases, and lots of gunfire. In this, it did not disappoint. In all honesty, this film actually felt like a combination of a few different films. I could definitely see this movie pulling some influences from films like Heat, Ocean's 11, American Gangster, and The Usual Suspects. This mishmash of stories was actually both a positive and a negative for me. Overall, the positives outweighed the negatives for me in this film because when I walked in, I had a certain expectation for what the film would deliver on, and it met the expectation. And then it gave me just a little bit more. O'Shea Jackson Jr. has now delivered 2 performances in 2 different films that I've seen and reviewed that have both surprised me in a very positive way. I'm beginning to actually see the potential and the talent that this young actor has, which makes me excited to see him kind of expand his role in future films so that we can get even more of these high caliber performances that we're now starting to see are possible from him as an actor. Gerald Butler also delivers a great performance as a burnout, but still in charge of things, and he's a man of action who can get things done despite what might be happening in his personal life. Speaking of his personal life, there's a few scenes in this film that deal with that topic, and I feel like those can be completely removed from the entire film to help make it more focused and more concise, which it did actually need. And I say this because the moments that we see him dealing with his family, how his wife is leaving him and taking the kids, none of this impacts his job. None of this impacts what he has to do to stop these bank robbers. It's kind of superfluous. It's just there. We're kind of getting an idea of who he is, but again, it doesn't do anything for the plot of the film, and we don't necessarily need to see it because it doesn't impact the way he does his job. So we can completely remove all of those scenes and all of the encounters he has with his family, and we can actually shorten this film up and tighten it down a little bit, which I think would have benefited it in the long run. And I say that because another issue I had deals specifically with how long this film feels. It feels way longer than it needed to be. And again, if we just remove all of those scenes with his family, we can really tighten up this film, and that way it's kind of more on a linear projection of storytelling, and it really just gets to the point, which is the heist, and how are the bad guys going to escape the good guys, or How are the good guys going to catch the bad guys in a heist action flick? So in short, consistency is a problem when it comes to how the story was told in this particular film. I feel like director Christian Gudegast actually had more story in his mind that he wanted to tell. He just wasn't possibly necessarily sure how to stick the landing. And I say that because by the end of the film, we realize there's so much more to this story than we've possibly been led to believe. We can really see that there was a lot of thought put into this film, but again, didn't stick the landing. Den of Thieves is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I'm actually going to recommend a big screen viewing for this film if you see it before noon for cheaper matinee prices. So while this film did have some story issues in regards to keeping things tight and concise, and while it did feel longer than it needed to be, there's some really great action scenes in this. And again, by the end of the film, we find out that there was a lot of thought put into this film. Some people may say that this film is predictable. Other people may be completely surprised. I'm going to recommend that you guys get out to your local movie theater, see this movie for yourselves, and you determine on whether or not you found it predictable now that you have watched my review. Because by the end of the film, I guarantee that you'll be asking who really are the good guys and who really are the bad guys. Because as the title suggests, this movie is dealing with a den of thieves. And in closing, because of some of the weird story issues that happen and because it feels longer than it needs to be, while there's a lot of good acting in this film and some great action sequences, it's not going to get any high fives from this guy. Den of Thieves is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. A brilliant and dedicated artist is put to test when a young woman diverts his attention away from his craft long enough to win a place in his life. From there, the love affair plays out on screen as life becomes increasingly more challenging and more difficult for them both, as well as the artist's sister. So, does Phantom Thread deliver on a dramatic and passionate love affair, or is this film simply scraps sewn together? Let's go ahead and take a look in this review. Paul Thomas Anderson, Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps, and Leslie Manville all deliver one of the most intriguing, passionate, and dramatic stories about love and family. Daniel and Leslie actually play brother and sister, and they have to rely on each other to keep the family business going. Daniel plays the artist, the craftsman, and brilliant mind who conceives and creates all of the beautiful dresses in this film. Leslie plays the pragmatic businesswoman who has to kind of run all of the day-to-day functions with staffing and everything else. Also, she is the one who kind of leads the business forward in the avenues that would escape the creative minds. Vicky plays the muse for Daniel's character, and it's this romance that creates an incredible adventure that is not average or predictable at all. Paul Thomas Anderson, the director of this film, delivers a completely captivating and cinematic experience on the big screen. Some of the scenes he chooses to shoot are up close and personal and very intimate. And other scenes are shot further back, so you see the two characters walking through either the town or a city, or they're near the ocean side, and you get a real sense for how big and how vast some of the land in this area is, as well as how cozy and quaint some of the towns and cities that they frequent in are. This film delivers on everything that goes into making cinema so special, and the more I actually think about this movie, the more I enjoy it. The trailers lead us to believe that this story is going to be about a passionate love affair, and that is very true. This film explores the relationship between a brilliant and creative mind matched against a stubborn, determined, and immature mind. These two personalities are fire and oil. They are constantly igniting the absolute best and the absolute worst from each other. Daniel and Vicky play off of each other so well in this picture that it was near impossible for my attention to be anywhere but on them when they were together on screen. There are captivating moments that happen between them where there is not a single word spoken, but it's their looks at each other, their gestures, the expressions that they have that are void of feelings or overflowing with feelings. It's all of these things that kept me 100% engaged from beginning to end. The ending of this film, as the characters are continuing in this passionate love affair and becoming more and more psychotic with each other, completely flipped and surprised everybody, so much so that it got an audible reaction from everybody in the theater that I was seeing this film with. It could have been a shock and awe moment, it could have been a laugh, it could have been just words being mumbled beneath people's breath. It didn't matter. The ending completely rocked the audience to the point that they literally had to say something or produce some type of sound from their mouth because of how fantastic the ending of this film caught us. This movie completely delivers on everything the trailers promised and more. Phantom Thread is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am most definitely recommending a big screen viewing for this film. I had incredibly high expectations going into this movie, and it hit those expectations and then exceeded them. In short, it gave me everything I was hoping for and a lot more. Also, this movie review wouldn't be complete if I didn't talk about the music and the score in this film. The music in this movie literally takes everything to the next level. There are quiet, dramatic, and intense moments that happen on screen without a single word being spoken, but the song that's selected, the music that's chosen to play during that scene just heightens the tension, heightens the drama, heightens the mood so much, and then it slowly fades to nothing, and the characters begin speaking and delivering their dialogue, and we just keep elevating and escalating the situation and the mood and the drama over and over until literally the end of the film, where we just fall back into our seats exhausted from the emotional journey that this film takes us on. I loved this film. And because of that, this film is getting both high fives from this guy. Phantom Thread is playing at your local movie theater right now. Go see this film. Thank you so much for sticking around. We got a couple more things to cover, and then we will get out of here and hop over to Facebook Live. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at what's arriving at your local movie theater this week. In theaters, Maze Runner: The Death Cure. So I'm not really familiar with this series at all. I don't think I've seen any of the films. I actually had to look up how many of these films there are. This appears to be the third one. This is not a franchise that has really caught my attention or anything like that. If you particularly enjoy these, go ahead and sound off in the comments below and share your thoughts as to why you enjoy it. Also, what makes this franchise so special? And maybe you can convince myself and some of the other people to give this thing a shot. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Geostorm, thank you for your service. Jigsaw, The Killing of a Sacred Deer. So if you're faithful watchers of the show, you probably remember that last week we did talk about some of these. Well, I was going to one website, and apparently that website I can't really trust with 100% accuracy anymore. So I had to verify these on a couple different websites. So going forward, we should have a little bit higher accuracy level for what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. But as far as films coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week, I think Geostorm will be a fine movie to watch at home. It is really a no-brainer film. This literally asks nothing of you as a viewer and just gives you a lot of crazy spectacle. So definitely check it out now that it's, you can stream it or rent it or buy it on DVD and Blu-ray, because it's not a terrible film, but it's really not a great film either, and it's just a perfect popcorn flick Sunday afternoon on the couch type of film. The Killing of a Sacred Deer kind of flew under the radar for the most part. I know it came out in theaters, it's got a great cast, but then I didn't really see any buzz or anything like that regarding the film. I know I didn't get out to see it because I missed it in theaters, but hey, if you saw it or you're excited to see it because the cast in it is really good, throw your comments below. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show. You guys never know what we're going to talk about, but I can guarantee that whatever we talk about will most definitely be certified rad. So this week for Certified Rad, we're actually going to look at two different stories that I feel are inspiring and may encourage some thought and some perspective about life and kind of what it means to be a part of this weird human experience that we have. Because every time I turn on the news or I pull up the internet, it's just, what are the humans doing today that is negative towards each other? And it's just one thing after another. It's just a weird time. So I looked at this and I said, well, hey, this week for Certified Rad, I bet I can find at least one story that is going to be like, look, we're the adults. We need to get our act together, because there are children doing better at this thing called life than the adults are, who are supposed to be leading the charge and leading the way. Because every time I turn on the news, every time I pull up the internet, it's just a constant barrage of negativity. People being mean and disrespectful to each other, people saying hurtful things, people doing hurtful things and harmful things to each other. It just makes no sense. Humanity is like in this giant fishbowl together and we can't seem to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, two children come along that say, look, this is how it's supposed to be done. And as Whitney Houston sang, I believe the children are our future, And if these two children that we're about to talk about are any indication about where we're headed, I think the future is in pretty good hands. So let's go ahead and take a look at these two inspiring stories about kids who are crushing at life. And before we dive into these stories, if you want to read more on them, click the description box below and you will find both of those links in the show notes. Story number 1 deals with 11-year-old Nolan Adams, who realized that there are children in children's hospitals that might not necessarily have the same luxury at Christmas that he has. So what did he do? He decided he wanted to try and help make their Christmas special. So he was able to finagle over 170 gifts for the kids in the children's hospital. And when an 11-year-old can look at a situation and go, I see an opportunity where I can help, and he acts on it, you can guarantee that that is most definitely certified rad. Inspirational story number 2 takes place in Charlottesville, North Carolina. 7-year-old Alex Fisher heard that in her town, a local group was going to be feeding the homeless for Thanksgiving. And for some reason, maybe because the kid has a good heart, maybe she has good parents, maybe she's just a good kid, she decided she wanted to help volunteer to feed these homeless at Thanksgiving. So what did she do? Well, obviously, since she's 7 years old, she went to her parents and said, hey, how can we help? Her parents said, well, let's make a food box and we can donate that. To which she replied, no, that's not enough. So the 7-year-old girl decided to go door to door asking for donations. She also started a lemonade stand. And then she took it a step further. She did a presentation at her school to get other kids in her 2nd grade class and beyond to help raise money for her cause of feeding the homeless. So she had a goal she wanted to reach of $150, which she did. And then her parents were like, look, our daughter is like outshining us so hard right now. So her parents started a GoFundMe page, and with her help, they raised over $1,500 for the Thanksgiving charity service of feeding the homeless. Shut it down, folks. This 7-year-old did not only inspire change in her family, she did it at her school and in her local community. And when you can do that, you can guarantee that that is most definitely certified rad. Thank you everybody for sticking around to the end of this week's brand new episode of Brunansky's vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed talking with you guys about films and a little bit more. If you enjoyed any portion of this show, as always, please do give me that thumbs up, because that helps people who like movie related shows find us here on YouTube. Also, if you're new to the show, consider clicking that subscribe button and also click that little bell so that you can get the alerts when new content drops on this channel. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because we gotta get over to Facebook Live to do a live stream with you guys right now. Again, thank you so much for watching another brand new episode of Brunansky's vlog. We will be back next Monday right here on YouTube at 10 a.m. PST to talk more movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great week, and I will see you on Facebook Live. Hi, I'm Jeremy Brunansky, and you've just finished watching another episode of Brunansky's vlog. Along with the weekly show, we also have special segments, as well as DVD and video on-demand reviews that you may want to check out. Thank you so much for watching this brand new episode, and we'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST for another brand new episode of Brunansky's vlog. Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.